the American Football Institute Sports Channel with former National Football League defensive tackle and now an NFL consultant, Chris Mamalanga.
Hello, and welcome to the American Football Institute. My name is Chris Mamalanga, and today for our show, it's really an honor and a privilege to be able to talk to someone who's right in the trenches, one of the top coaches here in Southern California, none other than head coach at Summit High School in Fontana, California, Nick Matheny. Welcome to the show, Nick.
Hey guys, good evening, Chris and the gang. Thank you guys for having me. It's always special to be able to talk about our experiences in football and and do this. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Nick. I know your time is very valuable, and for you to be able to sacrifice from your family and from the team and all your activities, truly appreciate it. You know, one of the things that really I wanted to talk about was some of your great experiences as a head coach and football wise. And I was privileged to be able to witness that this year. And so before we get started, I'd like for our guys to play a clip of one of the games, big time games that you guys were able to overcome a big school, El Toro High School in Orange County, Southern California. And we'll take it over to the clip right now.
The time is now. I heard somebody say you have to get better after a while. But I say, love, the time is now. Yeah.
14 minutes till kickoff. In 14 minutes, right? In 14 minutes, we're gonna go. As a family, as a brotherhood, all together. Think about all the time we spent together. Game weeks, team dinners, weight rooms, right? And here we are, all this time later. It's a testament to everything you do, because they see what you're about. You know what my prayer is every time? Every time. Is that you'll play so hard that everybody knows what football is about. That's every week. You guys understand?
The time is right now. I heard somebody say it's gonna be all right after a while.
Wow, Nick, I'll tell you what, the first time I witnessed that and with your staff and the great efforts that you guys put in to squeak that out, my 1-point win, I'll tell you, it was a tearjerker as a former player and a coach myself. Truly honor and a privilege to have you on today and share with our American Football Institute audience some of the keys and some of the benefits that American football has to offer our young people today. And with that, let's get started. I have a couple questions and we'll get going. I don't want to hold you up because I know it's a little bit late already here in California. And,
Hey, it says the mic is on, so I might keep you guys here all night. You know, when I get the mic, I don't like to give it up too often, so you guys might be in for it. Get some coffee.
No worries, man. This is your time, and we'll get rolling right now. So our first question, Nick, would you please share when did your love for football first start?
You know what? That's a pretty unique one, and I think I'm 38 years old here, and I started playing football at 7, and I didn't love it right away. I can tell you it was not the first day. But I played for some great men. My uncle, my dad coached me quite a bit in football. He played kind kind of fun fact, we played for the same head coach 30 years apart in youth athletics, man by the name of Gary Honecker.
Wow.
But I can remember it was I was 9 years old, and we were sitting there around practice, and I was sitting there with my good friend James Guerrero. He runs a youth baseball organization in Fontana, and
Yeah.
he ended up. Yep, yeah, you've met him, and so I was sitting there with James, who played years in the MLB. Was a great player at San Diego State University, baseball player. And I was sitting next to him and Aaron Gibson. And Aaron Gibson went on to start all 4 years at Oregon. Great baseball or basketball player, great football player, just extremely good athlete. And then a couple of, just some Fontana dogs like me, and those other two guys we were sitting there with were in my wedding years later. But I remember sitting there and guys were saying who the hardest hitter was, and everybody's kind of going around. And Aaron looks over and goes, "You guys are nuts. It's Matheny." And I'm like, I thought maybe there was a new Matheny on the team, and
Right.
and he goes, I don't get hit very often, boy. He gets me. Gosh darn, he gets me. So something to that effect. And I remember James agreeing, and these guys were such good athletes then, now, and forever. And so and James's dad was really influential in that too. They moved into Fontana. Kind of a cool story, right? Like moved to Fontana, didn't know anybody, said, "Hey, you're going to play sports." And his dad, Big Pete Guerrero, was one of the first people I can remember giving me confidence. Like I would go on the playground in 4th or 5th grade or whatever. I don't even know what it was now. And I remember feeling confident, like I'm on the football team, you're not going to take my basketball or my soccer ball or, push me off the monkey bar. So I remember that really, really a couple of times really vividly. And I think those things really made me the person I am today, for better or worse, right? But man, that's a unique question, because I feel like a lot of people, maybe have a little bit more generic answer, but I can remember first baseline, Veterans Park on the big field, the Fontana Falcons, you ran, right? You ran all day long. And so I remember right before practice, we're all sitting there talking about it. So yeah, that's really when I think it hit me that I love doing this.
Wow, that's awesome. It's great to hear that, and to start off, still in elementary school, you had an opportunity to really start at an early age and carry on through today.
I sure caught the bug.
So we'll go on to the
no
next
doubt.
Yeah, for sure, right? Like we all did.
Yeah.
Let me go to our next question real quick, Nick.
Yeah, no problem.
What were your experiences that led you to make football part of your career? Like what kind of led to that?
It's funny. If I'm really being honest, it was that same year when I was 10. When I was 10.
That early?
Really, I think that was the first time where we were a 50 defense, and they started me out playing nose guard, which really means I'm a little slow with foot.
Nose guard.
Unfortunately, right? So not the fastest dude around. But so anyway, they moved me to linebacker, and we had a coach named Lou Verbrugge, coached Little League and all through town, coached Pop Warner, and he let me call the defense. And so we had like a call where he'd go like this, big eyes, like Mike Singletary, and I wore number 51, and he would give me that was my nickname that year was Big Eyes. And so he let me call the defense, right? There was like 2 calls, right? It wasn't all that tricky, but he let me adjust the defense. And like I said, kind of the first time you have some confidence in yourself as a young kid. The 2 best players in the conference just told you the hardest hitter, and now the coach is telling you can call the defense. And that never really stopped. Each team I played on,
wow,
I had a little bit of like a role like that, and then led into it. Where I think I still haven't paid up on this, but right after high school, I actually went to school to be a fireman. I coached. So my senior year, I had a couple of knee injuries, right? College football wasn't really in the cards anymore. And so I I started coaching at the end of I coached, I actually lied on my application to coach Pop Warner football when I was in high school. I said I was 16 and I was 15 to coach. And I coached all the way through when I was in Pop Warner. Some
Find
of the
a way
people
to
I
win,
looked up,
baby.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, in Fontana, it was like the Wild West back then. But I coached for some of the people that were really influential in me growing up, and good friends with my dad, and my dad was a big part of that. My dad told me, like, son, I'm going to support you being a fireman. I'm with you all the way, but I just hate to say it, but I can't see you not being involved in football. And I said, yeah, Dad, but the money and this and that and the prestige and everybody, right, when you're young and you got that testosterone rolling through your veins, right, wants to do something like that. So I coached for Fontana High School for 2 years, my alma mater. And then I was going to go coach at a school called San Gorgonio High School, which is just down the street from a school, Aquinas High School. And then there's this man named Josh Henderson stepped into my life. And I had one. Yes, sir. I'm going to watch his podcast when he gets on here. But I had one class left for my fire science degree. And actually kind of skipping steps there. Somewhere in there, Josh had talked to Jeff McCarthy, who's our assistant head coach and my best friend. And I guess me and Josh share him as best friends. But he says, man, I got this feeling, Henderson's telling him, I got this feeling about this Matheny kid. He's a good kid. And McCarthy says, well, tell him he's the defensive coordinator. He says, well, he's not ready to do that. He goes, I know he's not, but just tell him he's ready. And I dropped everything I was doing. I was the quote unquote defensive coordinator and really just got a ton of knowledge about life. I really believe my faith was solidified. I believe I became a Christian there. I met my wife at Aquinas High School. She was not a student. Her younger sister was playing a volleyball game, and so she came down to watch her sister. So I met my wife there.
Important to mention that she wasn't a student.
Absolutely. Yeah, my wife and I are the same grade. So, but yeah, so I just kind of fell in love with it. Josh just has a way to do that to you. Coach Henderson does, and so I'm really, really fortunate for that. So, and then somewhere in there, that first year, I realized I think I want to be that. I want to do what Coach Henderson does, and
right.
Those 5 years of being an assistant for him were I can't put a dollar amount on the value of that time. And there was times I didn't like everything he told me, but boy, I needed to hear it. So very thankful for that and thankful for him.
Usually the stuff that we don't want to hear is the stuff we really need to hear, right?
Oh God, no doubt about it.
Especially coming from a stud like Josh Henderson.
Yeah.
Fontana High School, full high school legend. And, I'll tell you what, Nick, it's been, such a journey with football for me, and witnessing how you teach these young men and how you love on them has really been a privilege, and really excited to have you on board. Let's go on to the next question. And let's talk about, how did you decide to become a head football coach? I know you got into coaching as a DC and Pop Warner level, but now you're the head coach. You're the guy. Yeah. You're the one who's calling the shots and setting the game plan and kind of setting the vision for the whole team for the whole new season. When did that come into play where you decide, you know what, I love coaching and now I want to take it to the next level, kind of level up to be a head coach?
So somewhere in there, that first year, as Josh's defense coordinator, I had one class left for my fire science degree. I came home, I talked to the pops and the dad, what do you think? And he says, you already know what I think. I had made a bet with my high school baseball coach that I was going to be a fireman. And he told me in high school, you're going to be a coach, but you can tell me what you want. And so I talked to some of those people that I really trusted, and valued their input. And I dropped the fire science class the next day and started a kinesiology degree. And I think at that kind of time, I don't know if I knew right away I wanted to be a head coach. I wanted to continue doing what we were doing. We had a special thing going, and there were some great times and great memories. I can't believe they were so long ago. So actually in 2008, when Coach Henderson moved on from Aquinas at the end of 2008, beginning of 2009 season, is when I got the opportunity to, and that was also right around the time I got married. My wife and I were married in June. I got the job in like March or something like that of 2009. So it was definitely a roller coaster. But no, there was somewhere in there where I think I can remember a couple of games. We had a really influential priest at Aquinas that would do pre-game mass and rosaries and chapels. And I think when I saw some of the influence that he had, and not only Coach Henderson, but Father Joe Borba as well, and Father Justin Rose had on our team, I think I really felt the Lord's call to not just coach and try and win games. I mean, we're just competitive, right? We're out there, playing horse, shooting hoops. I want to win. But I think is where I saw the changing of young men's lives, where it really hit me. We won a state championship in 2005, and a kid named Rick Johnson got up, and he's going to be like the chief of LA County Fire one day. He just that guy, he looks like $1 million. He can talk well. And he got up and spoke about me, and I was kind of thinking, like, me? He doesn't all this about me, and I still have the typed speech that he wrote. I have never gotten rid of it. I got to get my hands on that, and good friends with Rick to this day. And his dad and my father-in-law are really good friends, and so I think it was when I realized that I do have an impact, positive and negative. There's a lot of, not a lot, but there's some stories that didn't work out so well in those years. So that's, I think, where I really realized I wanted to influence lives and change young men's lives.
That's awesome, man. That's one of the things that I enjoy most, and why I founded the American Football Institute is to share these stories from the ground level. We see ESPN. I watch ESPN every day. NFL Network, the whole nine. But a lot of times these folks can't relate to a Hall of Famer who's a freak athlete like a Shannon Sharp or a Randy Moss and Jackie Slater, those type of guys. And they do a phenomenal job in what they do and sharing it with the overall public. I just think that these stories are very important for people who are getting into football, who are getting their kids into football and American football, and truly thankful. Let's go on to the next question. So you kind of answered this a little bit, but you can kind of, share a little bit more. But can you kind of share not only for yourself, but how has football impacted your life and also the people around you, your loved ones, and even your players? Can you speak on that for a little bit, please?
Yeah. I don't even know what I would have done without the game of football. Fontana High School, or the city of Fontana in the 70s and 80s, before I was born and as I was a youngster, was like Friday Night Lights, right? The town shut down. We were a steel mill. Our mascot was the Steelers. I mean, it was straight out of a book. So I always grew up wanting to be a part of that. And by the time I came through, right, there was multiple high schools in the town and things like that. But I know that, like, what football has taught me, on top of it, just took the lessons that my parents were already trying to teach me and put them in a real tangible way. You're out there, you're on the grass, you're out there with your buddies. And I was talking to my chiropractor, right, who I should go to more. But I was talking to my chiropractor the other day, and our kids go to the same school, and they said, one of the things that, these COVID lockdowns really hurt kids is they weren't learning playground lessons. You don't talk about how you can make the shot unless everybody sees you make the shot. I can remember, hitting drills as a 9-year-old, all safe and everything else. But like, it was you and another guy and everybody saw, and you might lose, but then you're going to see, are you still going to lose 4 or 5 weeks later? So some of those things that are real early age, and it's in a constructive way. It's not two guys going down to the park to fight and to let it get out of hand. It was controlled. There was responsible adults there. So those things I think were really, really important. It, put you in some pressure situations, and those things are important. I'm really looking forward to my own kids being involved in that, and I hope that I can be a part of that within our own. We have a youth football program as well, so I'm looking forward to that. But I think how it's impacted my life since, like, as an adult. Number one, like, I never thought growing up, like, I never wanted to be rich. I never thought about what car I was going to drive. for a while. Me and your nephew used to roll to school in the Kohei used to roll to school in my 2005 Prius. That was on his last leg, but I never thought about those things. I always, once I kind of hit that time where I wanted to be involved in football, that's really all I thought about. And so it's impacted me in certain ways that, I can use those examples with my kids, right? Like my kids get to come to the banquet, right? And be around the guys. My sons get to be, he's finally old enough to get to be a ball boy. That happened inadvertently this year. I feel a tug and he's standing there with the ball, but just all these different things. I met my wife through the game of football. I met every good, impactful, meaningful relationship in my life came through the game of football. From other, like obviously other than like my parents, right? But and my sister, but all these different people that are in my life now came through this game one way or another, and I just don't know what I would do without it. I don't know if I had to quit coaching football today, I would miss the camaraderie and the brotherhood that we're all part of. That, and I could be a little biased. I just don't know if you get that through other games. And I'm sure you do, but I think this is unique to that. I heard something today, and I don't mean to get too far off topic here, but talking about NLI deals and things in college football, asking are they going to have to quit building culture at the college level? And no, absolutely not. You're always going to have a positive culture in order to be successful spread out over the course of time. And we've all had to learn that the hard way at times, but football has been when my parents made that decision to sign me up at 7, and I'll be honest, I stood in our kitchen. I was 7 years old. I was scared to go to practice. A kid named Jason Williams. I don't know how he made weight. He had to have been like 6'10", but I was scared to go to practice. I didn't want to go. And Dad just told me, you're going to go, you're going to finish the season. We'll talk after next year. And actually, one of the more influential people in that year, his name is Chalon Tessitore. He's the defense coordinator at Citrus Valley High School. He's my next door neighbor. I bought a house next door to him, and he made another guy just made me love football because he just cared about me. He just made me feel good. He'd sit me on his lap and let him drive his truck around the parking lot, and he's my next door neighbor now. So this game is just so great. And when those values and those things get out they're not the forefront, that's when the game isn't as special. So that's something I think that all of us like-minded people and what you're doing is so valuable, because you're getting this to people that wouldn't know this otherwise. That's why I'm so fired up to be here, man. I
mean, look, we don't have to sell football here in the U.S. American football is so popular. It's on TV every day. It's online every day. And, they're talking about the trades and all that kind of stuff. But, when you get down to the nitty gritty, the boots on the ground, that's one of the reasons why I started the American Football Institute, is to share with people outside of the U.S., overseas. And some of the work that I've done up to this point with people from New Zealand and Australia and Tonga and Samoa and Fiji. And, just recently last year, we brought in a kid from Indonesia. So it's impacted my life so much. I wanted to share the stories, like your story. I don't want to talk about famous people that are already famous. I want to talk about people who are impacting lives daily, boots on the ground like yourself. And that's not de-edifying the Hall of Famers and the guys who made it to the highest level. I just feel like these stories about lives being changed are not being told enough. So thank you very much.
For sure.
And we'll move on to the next question. Can you share with us some of the lives that that have been impacted through your football community, through myself, Chris Mamalanga, and our new program here, the American Football Institute? Do you have anything that comes to mind about some of the impact to our relationship?
I didn't even finish the sentence and I knew. The first young man, the first Polynesian kid in our football program, right? Which there's a few of them now, but was Chris's nephew, your nephew Kohei, right? And,
Right.
he's getting ready to come into school. He's getting all his paperwork done and getting his books. And he's, pretty studly looking kid. He's tall. He's got the long hair. And I said, hey, we're talking. And Kohei, as you know, he's a quiet kid, right? I said, Kohei, man, what do you love about football? And he just kind of pauses and goes, nothing really. And I'm like, oh. And I remember, and he had a great freshman year, but a kid that didn't really like going to school, and that's okay, right? Everybody's gonna have to love school. I think we're kidding ourselves if we think
Right.
every kid's gonna love going to the algebra 2, but
Right.
Kohei is one of those kids where and I won't say but we, right, like the team, the community around him. Like, we're talking right now about how what career he's going to go into. There was a time there where we were trying to get him, make sure he passed his classes to get through his freshman year. And now all of a sudden he's a 3.0 student.
Wow.
Kohei is just one that really sticks out to me because of what's, where he's at. Like, college football wasn't, a huge deal for him. But what was a big deal for him was learning how to make people depend on you. Everybody knew that this year, like when he kind of became the de facto team captain, right? Everybody listened to when he talked, and he wasn't a guy who was going to ramble and make these big, speeches. But man, it's almost hard for me to talk about because it brings tears in my eyes thinking about where he started and where he's ending in our program and in our school. He's getting ready to graduate here, and him and all his buddies are working now. And I can remember when we lost the game this year, and he was so mad. And the coaches kind of looked at each other and said, well, at least we saw some mad out of him, because he's just kind of an easygoing kid. But we knew how much he cared. And I don't think it was necessarily like about him. It was about all those dudes on the team that they had spent so many hours together. Another quick story that we could share, Micah Finau. A kid that got shut out because of COVID, right? He didn't get to play his junior year, had zero exposure, decides to make the trip out here as a non-participant and gets cleared to play by CIF on like a Thursday. We roll him out of the game on a Friday. I mean, we didn't even have a helmet that fit him. He was wearing a red helmet, and we're blue. But he rolls out there, plays 9 games for us. And not only that, the adversity he had to go through. He had to leave. He played 2 games for us, left to go back home for a funeral, came back, finished the season, was all conference as a senior, all CIF Division 5 as a senior, and now it really looks like he's going to have his entire college paid for at Lindenwood University in Missouri. He's actually on his recruiting trip right now. I kind of texted with his dad a little bit today. It looks like his package is going to be 0 out of pocket for 4 years. That's books, meals, everything. In the offer world of today, right? A lot of people see I got an offer. Well, an offer could mean they offered you $5,000 out of 20.
Right.
But for Micah to come out with 0 out of pocket, to think that his education is going to be paid for, man, what better story? I mean, this is a kid who didn't play football for a year and a half and came out and did his thing. And, Lord only knows if he'd had 2 years here. So those are 2 stories that really stick out. And the reason why I use those 2 is because, there's the college football thing, but there's more to the experience and the life lessons than just getting a scholarship, So Those are 2 very similar but very different stories.
Yeah, I'm so thankful for you, Coach. And when we first met, you kind of learned a little bit about what I did in our community here in Los Angeles. And, you're an hour and a half away from me, but, we connected on our philosophies and kind of our principles with regards to the love of this game and what this game can do. And one of the mottos I have with American Football Institute is we're going to maximize your opportunity with American football. Now, that could mean different things. Somebody could mean they learn all these life lessons and then end up being a great dad and a great husband and a great person in life. For another person, it could mean they earn, like Micah, can earn a full football scholarship to be able to pay for his education like it did for myself. You
Yeah.
know, we had Losini Maka that you worked with
Yes.
last year, and he ended up going to a prep institution in New Jersey. And then he's got a package from Georgetown University where they're paying upwards of just under 85,000 a
Yeah.
year. You know, and it's based on financial need. But look, it's zero out of pocket. And to me, I think one of the best things that we can do for our kids with this game is to get them educated. And that's what I
Yes.
love about our system. That's what a lot of people from overseas don't understand is that here in the U.S., you got to get a 2.3 or you're going to take a knee, and that
Yeah.
means you're not going to
Absolutely.
play if your grades aren't good enough.
Hmm.
Which I've witnessed that with you and your team with Miss K,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm excited to have you here today.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much. And let's get to our next question, Coach. I know you got to get back to it. Can you share your big three advice for aspiring football players wanting to succeed in American football? Just three
Yeah.
pointers, Coach. Your 3 pointers of advice saying, hey, you want to be great at football? You know, here in the American Football Institute, we're gonna get the first take, so to speak, from you with your big three.
I think number one thing is dedicate yourself in all phases of football, right? Football is unique in the sense where so much is built right there in the weight room, right? Like right there in the weight room, right there on the running the sprints, whatever it is, dedicated with your whole mind, your whole soul, your whole heart, right? Um, and I think that's such a big thing. Number two thing is, and I tell our guys this all the time, is the best way to earn any individual accolades, whether that be all conference, all league, all whatever, or a scholarship, is to be the best football player you can for your team. There is no way around that. It is the ultimate team sport. So make yourself the best player you can for your team. And really, number three is don't lose sight is that you are a student athlete, right? I was a good student. My sister was a great student. It was a hard act to follow, to say the least. But I mean, you have to be a student. Everybody wants to run out of the tunnel. Shoot, I still want to run out of the tunnel, right? Like the big tunnel with 20,000 people in the stands or whatever.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
you got to earn that, and a lot of times you earn that with a pen and a paper. So really, like those three things, right? To dedicate all season long, right? That doesn't mean you can't play other sports or whatever, but dedicate yourself in the weight room. I was just texting. A kid was texting me as we're getting ready to start, saying, "Coach, I'm going for a jog. He's trying to lose some weight." So dedicate yourself, weight room, training, things like that. Two, be the best player you can for your team. Be the best student you can for your school. The best person you can be. And last but not least, is you are a student first. Don't lose sight of that.
That's awesome, Coach. Man, I tell you what, those are some words of wisdom that you can apply to pretty much any kid,
Yeah.
really with any sport. But in American football, there's so much that's asked of you. It's such a tough game where violence is a part of the game, and that's what I love about it is that it's so hard that if you're not dedicated, if you're not taking care of business on and off the field,
Yeah.
it probably not going to work out real well for you.
Yep.
I think those are all the questions for tonight, Coach. And actually, we have one more question.
Okay.
One more question, and we'll wrap it up. Why do you think the American Football Institute is important for the game of football?
And I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. I just think that any time that we can get information about, like you said, things like this, like nobody knows who I am, like you said, like compared to Shannon Sharp or Randy Moss, right? But if we can get the word out to people and they can find something, like maybe one thing I said tonight goes, man, maybe this is for me. Maybe this is the thing that's going to change my life. Just one little thing. If we can do that for one person, then every hour, all these hours that we do, right, are worth something, right? Like somebody said today, like you make millions. I make millions. I don't know millions of what, but if we can make all this time, if we can change one life in a positive way, it's worth it. And one life is a small goal, but I'm just being honest, right? I whatever 100 players on in my program, our program, not mine, it's ours, right? In our program, we're going to change a lot of those lives, and we're going to try like hell to change some of the ones that we can't. But if they're willing, there is such a way. So I think that what you're doing, Chris, we've been friends a long time now. It's crazy how the years fly by, but brother, if you're spreading this to people and we're going to change some lives together, I'm all on board. And there's too many people out there that don't know these small things that we're talking about that can really make a huge difference in someone's life. So I
Yeah,
think
definitely.
that
And not
what
just
you're
for
doing is a
not
big
just
deal.
the kids, right?
Oh
Not just the
gosh,
kids, the
no.
parents. I mean, like look with recruiting and everything right now, and NIL and transfer portal. I just wanted to
Yeah.
create a space where we can talk about some of the challenges that
Yes.
sometimes people don't talk about. And
Yeah.
to have people like yourself who have dedicated your life. This is your life's work. To be able to sow into these young people, teach them the game of football, kind of like a microcosm of life. To me, is
Yes.
so
Totally.
valuable, and I respect you wholeheartedly for all of your efforts and all of your sacrifice, which includes, of course, your beautiful wife and your
Yeah.
family. Because every coach knows that for every coach that's doing great things for kids, he's got a family that's backing him on this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm fortunate for that. And Chris, right back at you, bro. Like we got to stay in the fight together, man. Lord knows that we all need good, strong men in this world, and we're all stronger together doing this fighting the good fight. So, to you and your crew, man, you guys are doing. I really believe you guys are doing the Lord's work and trying to spread the word and get real accurate, heartfelt information to people, not just what's popular.
Well, thank you, Coach. Thank you for sacrificing your time and dedicating,
The pleasure,
spending some
man.
time with us here at the American Football Institute. Um, Spread the word, Coach. Let them know where
You
we're
got
at.
it.
We're on YouTube, AmericanFootballInstitute.com, and anybody watching our live or our show, please like and subscribe us on YouTube. And thanks for watching here at the American Football Institute. My name is Chris Mamalanga. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Coach Matheny from Summit High School in Fontana, California. And we'll see you guys next week. Next week, we're going to have a player. We can't give you the answer to the test quite yet, but we're going to have somebody who's actually playing. And they'll either be at the high school level or in college or pros. Most likely, we'll have somebody from the high school or college level for next week. And look forward. Please tune in, and we'll see you guys next week.